Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 for Appropriate Culture, where we're going to be talking about big tech, censorship, do we live in a technocracy, and where is this heading towards in the future? See you guys in there. And we're live.
Welcome back.
Welcome. Cheers.
Cheers.
Delicious. So, you ready for today?
Good question.
I guess you don't really have much of an option, right?
Yeah, I don't really have a choice, but I probably feel like I could be more ready, but given the circumstances, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, we've had a past episode where it was going to be highly likely that at one point it was going to get flagged by big tech when we were talking about certain subjects. And so today is going to be interesting because just like business as usual, we're going to go through this episode and we're going to chop it up. And I want to see if anything interesting happens with this next set of, clips and content that we put out.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll depend on where we go today.
Yeah.
What rabbit holes we get into.
And so, I mean, we can dive all over the place when it comes down to big tech. I guess, like always, is there a place that you like to start us off with?
Actually, I would. So I think because of the events of this last year, with the lockdowns and people essentially spending most of their time at home and not, gathering in places in person physically, the world has shifted. It has been shifting, but this last year, the world really shifted to primarily operating online and on social media and interacting through devices and through technology versus mainly interacting in person. So I think that's a very significant thing that happened in 2020. And so I think that's a good place to start. But I mean, I feel like this is a bit more of a passionate topic for you. So where do you want to get started?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I guess, yeah, perhaps passionate could fall into the category of how I feel about this topic, because once you look into it, you start to see how the manipulation is happening. I mean, I can take it away for a second and just kind of go into personal experiences. What I personally have experienced myself seeing online while I'm interacting online and seeing information just sort of disappear, or it becomes very hard to find it.
Yeah, I've experienced that too.
I have had multiple times where I ran across some crazy information, and not just like crazy, like this is cuckoo stuff, but like crazy as in like, wow, why is this not getting covered? Why is there no headlines on this stuff at any point? And I'll go to show it to a friend about a week or so, 2 down the road, and I'll be talking about the situation and be like, oh my God, it's crazy. I want to see that video.
Yeah.
I'll go to pull it up. Here I am looking like an idiot, cannot find it to save my life.
Yeah, or articles too, yeah.
Articles.
I've had the same thing happen with like a fluoride article I was trying to show somebody.
Yeah. When I was trying to show somebody a whole documentary, this is a professionally done full documentary about, I believe it's Polish doctor who found a way to cure cancer from all stages naturally through a CBD, through compound extract of CBD.
Oh, wow.
His practice was taken down by the government, and he was sued multiple times and he had every reason to just keep going because the stuff was working. And then they went ahead and actually took away the medicine from the people that he had already helped out, like over 1,000 people. Wow. So I was like, yeah, wow, that's what I said. I watched the thing. I'm like, this is crazy. Why is this not all over the place? Came back to find it. Couldn't find it.
That's nuts. What's funny is that a very similar thing happened to Dr. Sebi. He basically got sued for practicing medicine without a license, and got sued I think by the state of New York, and went to trial and actually won. But I guess because he wasn't actually prescribing or making diagnoses, but all these people testified that they cured him. He cured them of AIDS and cancer and all types of crazy things.
But if he wasn't prescribing, how was he curing them?
So he wasn't diagnosing their illness. He has an alkaline diet that essentially treats anything. But this was before the internet was the main way of spreading things. And so I feel like he is so one of those things where it's this should be all over the internet, but it's conveniently it's you have to go searching for it.
Yeah, that's big news. That's why the line goes, what did you find the cure for cancer? That's an actual line, because it's so preposterous to find the cure for cancer, and here we are, multiple people supposedly finding the cure for cancer. And nobody's covering it on a major standpoint.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny that on the U.S. Department of Human Health Services website, they did a CBD study 15 years ago, almost 20 years ago now. But where I guess they showed had a video that it showed inhibiting cancer cell growth. It's, I don't know, that kind of more points to it's just ridiculous that they
so that's just one case, right? One case. If you want to go more recent, let's stick with what happened all throughout 2020, and we're going well into 2021 with the same issues, which is conveniently certain big stories just don't really surface up. And conveniently, certain organic material that goes big doesn't surface up. Yeah.
Or, we could also talk about stuff getting straight, just wiped off the internet, all the videos.
Well, there's that. And so, let's dive in some more specific ones. So you heard about the Alex Jones situation I think it was last year or 2019. It's somewhere around that time.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that? Yeah. What happened to him?
Well, you told me, so, I hadn't really heard that much about it.
So everybody knows Alex is a character, no doubt about it. The guy he comes in with some crazy stuff, even for a person like me.
Crazy stuff.
The whole gay frogs and everything,
taking shots.
It's some crazy stuff. He doesn't help his case, I guess is what. For all the perhaps maybe 95% of the stuff that's true that he says, the other stuff that what's crazy is it seems like he does feel like he comes with proof. On all the crazy stuff that he says. So in a way, you got to give the guy credit, because he's doing way more effort than most 99% of people out there to find out things about for themselves with the effort he's going about it. Long story short, hate or love him, the guy had the most popular podcast on Apple, I believe, at that time. The most number one watch or listened to and downloaded, I guess.
Wow, that's huge.
Number one.
Yeah.
And I think it was within 24 hours or within 48 hours, he was taken off all of the major platforms without any actual consent.
For what? Why? What was their reasoning?
Well, I guess their reasoning was that there was no reasoning until later on, after obviously became big news. Within a week, every YouTuber was doing a story on the situation. Because of somebody that big getting deplatformed.
Yeah, were they saying he was generating hate speech?
Basically, yeah. They hit him with the whole hate speech,
violence,
falsifying information, or just giving incorrect information that's detrimental to the public. And so, and he obviously went against some topics that across the board, some good stuff, but then he went for some other heavy hitters that obviously as a reporter, that's what you want to go for. Mm-hmm. But those are the ones that they're going to really get you for. So the Corona stuff, he did a bunch of stuff with like Obama and Michelle. This is just, I'm scratching the surface on, and it's very unpopular ideas. The government, all that stuff. At this point, if a guy like him with his setup and his following can just get the platform like that, and their justification goes because misinformation.
Yeah. But what if it is, dangerous misinformation that's inciting people to violence or something? Do technology companies or, social media companies...
So how do you draw the line for that? Like, what do you qualify as...
if
misinformation is dangerous, that's going to starting wars and whatnot?
Well, if you're, leveling allegations against people without, proof, and then, people get inside it, like you say someone's like, a pedophile or something, and then people show up at his house and like,
Yeah, ready to whoop some pedophile ass.
And like, attack him or, or even shoot him or something.
No,
like that to me, I think is the person who like is essentially is spreading those rumors. I think they should be held liable.
But see, here's the thing. Do you know who are the people flagging these videos as they come up and start become popular and trending?
People who disagree, yeah.
Well, I'm specifically referring to within the Facebook team. So they have this area, I guess they call them fact checkers. And these fact checkers evidently are regular ass people like you and I.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
I think I've actually experienced that on one of my promo profiles once.
Yeah. So you're telling me that some random Joe Schmo, I don't know, let's just paint the picture, some young 25-year-old something sitting in their living room now because we know everybody's working from home, and they got their own prerogative, they got their own storyline, they got their own whatever, and they see something that starts to trend, and they're one of the fact checkers for that day, for that region, and they don't like the story. But they see it's getting a lot of positive reviews, and people are raving about it. It's getting shared like crazy. They found out within the inside, so this is actually happening right now, okay? Louder with Crowder, one of the most popular YouTube channels on YouTube. Are you familiar with it? Mm-hmm. Politically driven. They are now suing Facebook right now, just started, due to insider information that they found out that fact checkers, if you can even call them that, were deliberately going out of their way to delete and take off of your browse feed when you go in, like the major one that shows for whatever's popping at that day. And basically it was like almost 99% right-leaning and political ideas. Mm-hmm. So you basically had this huge one-sided situation where all of these very, very popular right-leaning channels we're talking like Ben Shapiro, we're talking Louder with Crowder, who are getting shared for the week, their videos, sometimes 2 on the top 10 of all of Facebook. So it's like if you had your channel and you guys shared 2 of your videos that day, the most in the top 10, and you're competing against everybody on Facebook.
Wow, that's nuts.
And they are stopping those posts from continuing going extra viral because they're just so offended that somebody would think that way. They're so offended, not only but it's getting popular. Other people think that way.
So it's supposed to be like, unbiased, independent, fact checkers, who are only stopping.
And even that, like, and even if it was like that, let's just say they weren't banning whoever was right leaning politically, just because they don't like it. Let's just say that wasn't happening. What are they there to fact check?
Well, there's a lot of misinformation being spread.
And that's fine,
but
don't you think that if it was all organic the way that it should be, the world as a whole would just either point and laugh at it or take it seriously, and it would either get popular or unpopular. But either way, we know what this thing is about.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like it's so hard to tell what's actual real information and what's been doctored.
Correct. That I can agree. And so I mean, it becomes difficult because it's like who's clicking the mouse on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where it's like it just seems ridiculous if it's just random people, and it's like there. I mean, there's got to be some guidelines. I mean, I'm really curious about.
Well,
this
of course, it's not random people, but it's random people. If you know what I mean? Like it's like they handpicked them because they went through the hiring process, but it's just very peculiar how just this one aspect of the politically driven posts, the vast majority of them with on the right side, just getting just taken off rotation. Just whoa, this is not supposed to be on top 10. And so, anyways, the Louder with Crowder situation, they actually just came public like a day or two ago, with their lawyer saying they're going for a handful of hits, all the kind of the obvious ones that you can think of.
Yeah.
And aside from that, that's ongoing. They also had their live stream on YouTube on the day of the election on November 3rd. Mm-hmm. Their live stream had the most people on it that evening, and they got cut off.
Oh, really?
They got cut off.
That's messed up.
Yeah, they got cut off. They didn't know. Here's what happens. And I've experienced this. Here's what happens to you as an individual or as your brand or company, because you're running your own stuff. When this happens to you, it happens. You're there. You're like, what the heck? You refresh, still there. You go to your email. You troubleshoot for a few minutes. Yeah. And you realize this is not a mistake. They're really doing this. And then first thing you go is click out support. Nobody's going to contact you in a timely manner. Right. There's not going to be an actual person to pick up the phone. We know that one. They're very convenient. They never have any people on the phone because, God forbid, they actually have to explain why they actually banned your shit. So what they like to do is sit behind legal jibber-jabber on the screen and just leave it at that. And so you're here with, twirling your thumbs with 100,000 people in your live stream, and you've been building this brand for 2, 3, 4 years, 5. And they just come and fuck your shit just like that.
Yeah, that's nuts, yo. I feel for people who have big followings on these accounts and then just get wiped.
And people are like, oh, who cares? I'm like, dude, you build a brand that's successful and tell me you don't care.
Yeah, I mean Donald Trump is probably the number one example.
Let's dive into that.
It's
let's dive into that one. Actually,
completely deleted off of Twitter. And
as soon as he's not president anymore. He gets his account just gets vanished basically right in the time frame where he's no longer president.
Oh yeah, I thought it was actually before while he was still president.
On his way out.
Yeah, on his way out.
Yeah, they already are he's on his way out. Do it right now. That's not coincidence. They already had enough ammo on him to get this stuff done before, but they just really couldn't because the guy was actually still president.
But are they wrong for that? Was he inciting violence? Was he basically calling for people to start a revolution or saying dangerous things? I mean, the things that
I hear that argument a lot.
I
hear that argument a lot.
I'm asking the question. I'm saying.
No, I'm about to answer it.
Right.
I think it's wishful thinking from the people that already don't like the guy. So that's like when you already don't like the person and they continue doing their thing and you're just watching them and they're saying some stuff that's borderline you're not being extra clear about what you're saying, but you're also not being extra clear about the other stuff. You're just kind of in that middle line. And so for every person who's down with the guy, they're going to be like, no, he said this. And for every person who's not, they're going to be like, well, he actually said this with these words and he could have said that instead. And I'm like, unless he said, go out there and fight physically for your freedom,
I mean, but
and go beat people up. Like,
didn't he say we're gonna march down to the Capitol and retake this country or something like that?
So that's exactly that word, retake. That could be interpreted in two ways right now.
Yeah,
we're going to go there and retake it emotionally and spiritually, and we're going to take our country back, and we're going to be there to support the situation. Or we're going to literally physically run people over, bust down doors. It could mean two things, right?
Yeah. Well, what actually happened?
Well, the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but actually, going to our other episode where we were talking about the Capitol riots, it's like, is that why it was allowed to happen?
Personally, I don't even think if he would have said that, I think the same stuff would have happened.
Word.
I honestly think Trump would have kept his mouth shut, no tweet or whatever.
Yeah.
The same thing would have happened.
So you think, and then it would have been harder to pin on him. So like he kind of walked into it. It's like he got
100%. I think at this point, it's hard because I can only imagine what position he's in,
right. Yeah.
as far as like how this has ramped up. Like, how much of a crazy pinnacle of a story.
Especially if he really, and I think he genuinely believes like he was cheated out of the election.
I think so too. Yeah,
he genuinely believes.
I think so too.
He won or should have won if there weren't so much.
And so, for example, the Joe Biden situation on YouTube, where way before the election was resolved, they started putting this tag on everybody's video that had anything to do with elections, saying,
I remember that.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
I taken the screenshot. As a matter of fact, they did that to one of our videos when we were talking about the election.
Oh, really?
And we did, yeah. Yeah, I went to go watch it, and then it's before the description. So, like, before you can even read the title, that comes up on top of it.
Oh.
So they really make sure to, like, overstep, like, okay, that's fine that you're watching this video, but this is the information. And I realized, I was like, whoa, like, they actually started doing this before it was far from even resolved that Joe Biden was even president. So in a way, I really thought that was just like a nice little, well, we have this feature on our fucking platform. Let's just go ahead and turn it on right now.
Right, yeah.
There was no ethical means on any level. It was just like, nah, just turn it on. I bet you this. If Trump was predicted to win, you wouldn't see that sticker right there.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with
that. I don't think you would have.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see it last 4 years. You didn't see it then.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, it's like, well, the argument could be made that they were doing that like because it was such a contested election, and it's like,
yeah, they're saying false information. So they're saying basically that just because you and I are having a conversation about the election, and you and I want to have an educated conversation, so we don't just decide to just agree with each other the whole way through.
Yeah.
We actually want to fucking, shoot the
Figure
shit.
out
We actually want to talk about it and go back and forth. Because of that, the algorithm will pick up on what we spoke about, and or the AI, and will understand what's going on. It'll just pick up Trump winning, Biden fraud, and it'll be like, this video right here, And next thing you know, we're just having a polite conversation, just trying to, one, entertainment, and two, education.
Yeah.
But we can't even have that. Did you see the problem here?
You mean, so like, if we even mention these topics or talk about them, we're gonna get
I've already said many things that's gonna strike out this video.
You're saying we're not gonna get banned. We're gonna, like, nobody's gonna be able to find our video in the search results.
It could be a multiple, like, so there's several ways they can do this to you. They can ghost your channel, which is you get no notification, nothing. You just continue posting, and then you just wonder why you're getting zero interaction on any level. Just none. Well, they ghosted your channel. Or either your channel sucks so bad, or they ghosted your channel. There's that. There's the ones where I've been unsubscribed from some channels, where I had to go back in there and I was like, subscribed again. Like, I subscribed to a channel multiple times, and they unsubscribe me, and I'm like, Jesus. Or they'll take out, or the notifications just don't show up for that channel for whatever reason at that day or that time. And so I mean, it becomes tough because I've seen videos go up, get taken down, and then what happens is hilarious. The video obviously gets posted again or somewhere else, and because it got blocked, in many ways it becomes even bigger.
Like man, what's the guy's David Icke? Yeah, the London Real.
That's a great example.
David Icke.
I mean, that one was crazy because that was the most, I think it was the highest second watched streamed YouTube stream that day behind Trump's. Trump was number one. That was number two.
Word.
And that video got obviously over 1 million views in like just a couple days.
Yeah.
And YouTube took it down.
Yeah, word.
And YouTube took it down for the same reasons they're taking down the Alex Jones, the Steven Crowders, is because, once again, they were talking about stuff with COVID that did not go with the mainstream news.
Yeah.
And when you see all the different stuff with the COVID videos, that's not mainstream. It's like content creators like you and I, they'll put their slapper sticker at the bottom saying, not the bottom, at the top of the bottom,
about
saying
the
CDC, you should only really pay attention to, what's the specific word choice they use? Authoritative figures. Authoritative figures. And you read this stuff and you're like, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, CDC, the ones that told me I should be wearing one mask, now it's two, then it's three. These fucking idiots. Are you telling, seriously?
Who told me to wear a mask while having sex?
Yeah,
like,
these
on, guys.
These authoritative figures, okay? What's funny is, I got to go into this for a second. Have you seen some of the health ministers for the different countries that are calling the shots for these implementations of rules for COVID? Dude, there's nothing healthy about these people.
Word.
I mean, I would show some pictures, but I don't want to get the video taken down for defamation or some crap like that. But, it's stuff like this that you're like, okay, if I were to make a video about this and be like, okay, guys, this is who you're taking your health cues from. And then you show the picture of the person who passed the bill to continue the lockdown. And this person is 300 pounds. They look like they're melting onto the ground, and there's not an ounce of health in that person. That's who you're taking your health cues from.
Word.
Let that sink in for a second.
Yeah.
And so you make a video about that, and then you get crossed for misinformation. How's that misinformation?
Yeah, I mean, so that's actually a really good point. It's like my personal theory, and any advice I give to anyone else is like, don't trust medical advice from people who their first instruction isn't like eat healthy, sleep well, take care of your physical health, exercise, get fresh air, get sunshine, that's like maximize your health first. And then on top of that, do whatever you're going to do, whether it's if you believe in vaccines or antibiotics, for certain conditions, or, if you've got a condition where you need medication like Crohn's disease, but the first advice should be eat healthy, sleep well, get exercise, get fresh air,
right.
Get out
in
nature.
Once again, you have the bad information being held as authoritative information, which is now being regarded by the social media platforms as the baseline information that this is what it is. And that's where we're fucked. Because last episode, I talked about how screwed up our the medicine industry is.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it often.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's as bad as it could possibly get, in my opinion. Sure, we've come a long way in certain areas when it comes down to taking care of emergencies.
Yeah, so for physical trauma and like short-term or acute critical trauma care, I feel like the U.S. or modern nations are like incredible. But
Western medicine has done great wonders for us. But when it comes down to taking care of like
and like preventative care, totally agree.
The type of problems that are self-inflicted many times, like your lifestyle.
Yeah.
We do not take care of the issue at all. We take care of. We just give merely a bandage, hoping you just keep coming back every week.
Yeah, and I think that's because our medical system is based on drug companies selling drugs.
Right, but you put that information out right now. You make a little quick video about it. Your shit will get taken down so fast it's not even funny.
Or like.
Here's what's funny.
Yeah.
Doctors with PhD, with 20 years of experience, going on YouTube saying how a bunch of things with the COVID does not line up on any level, and a lot of this information is not correct.
Like Bruce Lee.
Their videos get flagged and taken out. So they're literally saying professionals in the industry of over 20 years who are putting their thought forward, they cannot speak either unless you're playing ball.
Yeah.
And there's so many of these stories. Another one that comes, what's the other one? Well, I mean, I actually want to go back into the David Icke one.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. But before we do that, on that topic, Health Nut News is a good, like, they have an Instagram account where it's like, they basically post about, doctors coming out and having alternative views, and like, where their, focus is on like health, and like, where if things don't add up, they call it out, so definitely check out that Instagram account.
What is it again?
Health Nut News.
Health Nut News.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get him on the podcast.
Yeah, word. Totally.
Yeah.
It's a woman. I forget her name, but yeah, definitely check him out. However, David Icke, going back to David Icke, I mean, David Icke is just like an incredible person. His stories are phenomenal and, pretty out there. And he actually has a series on Gaia right now called Escape the Matrix. That's really good. If you don't know anything about David Icke, there's also a documentary out on Gaia. I think it's called Renegade. But shout out to David Icke. You're amazing. Thank you. But he had an interview with London Real. This is actually back almost a year ago when we kind of reconnected. Because I'd been running the cafe, and then I remember one day I was like watching this video. I can't remember if I texted you. I think I like messaged you. I was like, "Yo, have you seen this?"
I was like, probably.
Yeah, and then you were like, "Yeah, have you seen the David Icke interview?" I'm like, "What?" And then you pointed me to that. So I went to London Real's website, and then like that. It's just a super good interview.
He just got deplatformed.
London Real.
Yeah, like so not to get too off, but since we're talking about that situation, he recently had one of his other first live stream, but other ones, because he's right in the thick of things, talking about COVID, election, all that stuff. He's actually running for mayor in London.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, he had his videos, several of them taken down. Same stuff like what happened with Crowder. And what's funny is some of them are going about a legal matter, but most of it is just sort of, I guess, being talked about. But let's dive back in regards to David Icke, because you remember what the interview was even about for it to get pushed back. Most popular that day behind the Trump stream during election time.
Yeah,
and it got pulled out. Why do you think?
Well, because he was talking about COVID and it didn't fit the mainstream narrative.
So here's what I find interesting. How many people showed up to watch it? And then how much positive reviews it got after? Sure, some people are like thumbs down type of thing. Mm-hmm. But across the board, the video was way more positive than it was negative as far as the receivement of the crowd.
Reception, yeah.
And so, what do you think that says?
I mean, I think David Icke is awesome. He's just such a character, so interesting. I think people want that type of stuff. You know, it's similar to me, like Dolores Cannon or like The Law of One, where it's just like mind blowing information that just like literally just like shatters your idea of reality, or what you believe life on Earth to be, or the history of Earth to be.
Is that why you think it's easier people just put them on the conspiracy theory box just right off the bat?
Because it's like he is out there. I mean, he's had his third eye opened. He's had some experiences that have shattered, the veil between like this reality and like the greater, or like the real reality where, everything is connected. Mm-hmm. And so, it's like you start talking about that stuff and people are just like, it either hurts their brain and they shut it off, or they're literally not ready to hear it and they can't hear it. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like I tell people about the Law of One all the time, and then two weeks later they're like, "Oh, that's really cool. It talks about aliens," and I'm like, "Yeah," and like all types of things. And then a month later I'll talk to them, or sometimes I'll like give them a copy of the book, and then if they're not ready to hear it, I'll talk to them a month later. They like will barely remember the conversation.
Oh yeah, no, dude. The line, or is it, if you're not ready to learn it. Not ready to hear, you're not going to learn it.
Yeah. And when you are ready to learn, like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So it's like, and that's the type of thing. It's like I like putting information out there, like offering it, like, hey, if you want to check this out, go find out for yourself. But I'm not going to like, sit down and like be like, hey, the Law of One talks about aliens and Bigfoot, and, talks about who built the pyramids and all, and like, yeah, I might do that a little bit, but that's just to pique your, interest, and you got to go find out about it on your own.
So, in regards of the aspect of authoritative figures, mm-hmm. How do you feel about that stamp of approval that our videos get?
So I think the authority figures, or the accepted authority figures, in the mainstream right now, for the most part, are just like, don't really get it. Like the people who really get it, like, are either not, paid attention by the mainstream, or like
not a part of the government.
Yeah, they just don't care. It's like Sadhguru to me is like someone who like really gets at what's going on the planet. It has like a higher level of consciousness. But, he's not like shoving, his stuff down anyone's throat. It's like he's offering tools for people to empower themselves and, to expand their consciousness. But, those people are out there, for people to find, but they're not going to find you. And, no one's going to sit you down and make you like, figure things out and like expand your consciousness. If anything, they're going to sit you down and try to brainwash you with some shit that's going to keep you asleep.
Which is why, if you think about it, there needs to be some sort of regulation that needs to start getting implemented in regards to these big tech corporations, in regards to the information actually free flowing the way it's supposed to. Because think about how dangerous it really is when you actually live in your own bubble and you don't have the necessary exposure to different ideas in order to actually expand your own awareness. Mm-hmm. And so now we live in this situation where everything is, not everything, but most of the things are digital that we're experiencing, especially when it comes down to intaking information. Mm-hmm. And so you start to live in this warped hole of ideologies. And next thing you know, you're blown away that other people think differently than you.
Yeah. I mean, the echo chamber phenomenon, I think, is what you're
right
to. Yeah, it's like,
and sometimes it's your own fault because you don't go after. You literally don't try to expand your awareness. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's this effect that happens from the social media algorithm, always just wanting to show you what it thinks it should show you.
Yeah, I mean, but that's for generally going to be more for people who are like casually surfing. It's like
Sure, the browsers. Yeah, the ones like to browse.
With technology and the internet, like people are far more empowered than they've ever been. Like you have a supercomputer just like sitting in your pocket, or at your desk. Like
here's what I mean by that.
And go ahead.
No, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but what I mean by this is I know exactly what you mean. I agree with you, which means, for example, I go about it this way, which is I only follow channels that are very informative. I get a lot of education from it, the right amount of entertainment that I can learn and apply it into my own work, whatever. So I want my feed to be very with a growth mentality. No matter if I end up on my feed browsing, I'm going to actually get some valuable information in there. Well, then they'll go in and slide their own tab. Like, just by the way, just thought you might want to like this. And then they'll drop like the worst videos. TBS, ABC, COVID stuff, this pop star just got. They'll put the worst shit in front of you.
Yeah, that's because those are the companies that are paying them.
Sure, 100%. And I agree with you that you as a person, you just need to just keep going right on by and not click on it and just move on. But it comes to a point, like take YouTube, for example. Seems like it always becomes about money every time, even when the company is already doing actually pretty well. So YouTube started, their whole thing is broadcast yourself. That's their whole tagline. Mm-hmm. They became who they became. They became cool of how they are because of you could get content creators that you can't find anywhere else putting their own little videos right there for you to check it out. And it's not available for everybody because it's not told to everybody. You got to go out there. You got to find it. It's this channel with 2,000 people. I'm doing this one thing. It's teaching me this one thing. And that's how I found it. That's what made YouTube so dope. Mm-hmm. Not the fact that I can find TBS there now.
Yeah,
that hasn't made anything more valuable on that platform.
It has for them. I mean, they've got
100%.
From those companies.
But that's what the whole conversation today, which is, do we live in a technocracy?
Right.
That's the whole point of this conversation, which is, some people say it's whatever, they can do whatever they want. It's a capitalist system. They're a private company. They get to do that. And I actually have to say, that's correct. Here's the catch. In the past, when they've gone to court for multiple different things that happen on their platform, people posting things about war, rape, all kinds of stuff that really shouldn't be on the platform, and somehow it not only did it not get flagged, it didn't get taken down, and it was surfacing around. For example, I one time saw a freaking beheading on my feed on Facebook. I was like blown away that actually was there, and it was there for like over a day. Wow. Blown away, dude. Yeah. That scarred me for life. I can't, that image I can never take away for, like, ever.
Yeah, word. That's
nuts. It was nuts. And so the fact that I can see that stick around, and then a post saying Biden isn't really the president yet, that gets taken down in minutes. It really goes to show where the priorities are at here.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't in the same necessarily time frame, though. It's like the censorship has gotten like amped up so much more. Like now, I don't think you would see a beheading on your feed nowadays.
I don't know. I mean, go to Twitter. You see all kinds of stuff in Twitter. Twitter's a perfect example on how they just handpick things to just take off and just, nope, this is not good. And then you're like, okay, if that's not good, if what Alex Jones said is kind of crazy and you think that's enough to deplatform, this person's literally putting porn on the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say literally, I mean literally. That sticks around. And so these people, and they go on camera, and they even get, like, a perfect one was when Jack Dorsey, one of the CEOs for Twitter, was on that podcast interview with Joe Rogan and Tim Cass. Mm-hmm. And it was pathetic to watch the guy just dodge the questions, just bobbing and weaving. Just, he knew exactly what to say, basically saying, we didn't know about it, we'll look into it. And then, boom, next question. We didn't know about it, we'll look into it. So nothing had like an actual definitive, like, here's what's happening, here's what's going to happen after this, or because we didn't do this, here's what the damage that we're going to have to take in after that. None of that. It was just this sort of a open-ended, closed down, next question. And it was just sort of like, it was ridiculous watching it because you're like, dude, this is what happens every time.
Yeah.
It's just this ballet sort of game back and forth where the question gets asked, and you're like, okay, I want to see how you're going to get this one.
Yeah.
And you sit back and you're like, what is he going to say?
It's like the Facebook trials, you know, it's like whenever, what's the Facebook CEO's name? The CEO of Facebook. I don't remember.
You're talking about Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, yeah. Yeah, anytime he's been in front of the Senate, he's just like a master at dodging questions.
Yeah. Seriously. It's absolutely wild. And so here's the good thing about this. I just recently came across a couple of different articles in the last couple of days. Different circumstances in different states, even in different countries, where specific governors, different politicians are coming forward for different reasons, but it all kind of falls under the same umbrella, which is these companies are going to start to get sued big time. So one of them that just came through is in regards to social media platforms deplatforming politicians, like what happened with Trump, and some other situations too, because this happened to other politicians as well, primarily only right-leaning ones actually. But this fine, if the bill gets passed, for every time they get fined with they actually committed that, I guess call it a crime that day for that situation, for every day, $100,000 penalty every day.
Yeah.
So, seems like there is, I wouldn't necessarily call it light at the end of the tunnel, but I guess new implementations being put to be able to regulate this, what it is a really new industry. Mm-hmm. I mean, sure, we feel comfortable with the internet and you know, the whole aspect that it comes with it, but if you look at it in the bigger scheme of things, it's still pretty new.
Yeah.
And so the regulations are so not what they're supposed to be when it comes down to the online world.
Yeah, they haven't caught up. Yeah, I mean, and that actually, you know, something really related to that is cryptocurrency. It's like cryptocurrency really just like blew up again last year, you know, after the like it hadn't surged since like 2017 or the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. But yeah, it's like it's not really regulated that well. You know, the SEC is trying to regulate it, you know, and there's a lot of people afraid in the cryptocurrency world that it's gonna get it'll get banned or like, you know, controlled to where it's like it's not effective for them. But yeah, you know, cryptocurrency is shifting wealth for, you know, in a significant way. It's like I mean, Elon Musk actually, you know, he changed his Twitter handle to just hashtag Bitcoin, and then and anytime Dogecoin goes up, he comments on it. I wonder. I'm really curious if.
Well, let's talk about this one actually.
I'm really curious for the reason his wealth, you know, went up so much this last year is because he invests in crypto. I'm like curious.
He's involved with so much stuff. It's like hard to figure out where. I'm sure it played a part into it.
But yeah, I mean, went up. His wealth went up like 150 billion or something like that last year.
Ridiculous.
You know, and like it's crypto. I mean, Bitcoin's up at like 37,000 something. Like right now, it's been up from like, I think it was at like 5,000. You know, like less than a year ago. So it's like it's gone up like 5 or 6 times. And then Dogecoin, all those are up, and then. So it's like, are they supposed to be regulated like securities, or is it the same as like a currency, you know? And so that like those laws haven't really caught up yet. No. And so it's kind of, you know, in some ways it's like the Wild West if you're a cryptocurrency company. Like you have all this potential, you know, it could you could, get this money invested and then, crash it, or you could blow it up and just make a shit ton of money. Like there's so many people who have just become millionaires, recently with cryptocurrency. And so, yeah, I'm super curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, me too. In regards to big tech, here's one crazy part that, it's not even that crazy of a idea to go into, and I think it's important. We as humans spend way too much time on our phones and our computers. We know this. This is research that is off the charts at this point.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna hire someone to manage my phone as soon as I can.
Yeah, it gets out of hand. I actually feel my brain hurt sometimes when I'm just sort of always picking up my phone and always looking at it.
Yeah,
it's this weird disconnection that you end up having with yourself when you're just always boom going into technology.
Yeah, it's like in your hand all the time.
Yeah.
One thing that I've found helpful, at least for my eyes, is I have my blue light filter on like all the time.
On the phone or the laptop?
On the phone, yeah. So it's like I just never turn it off. So it's like, I just got used to it and it doesn't look different to me.
Yeah, doing things like that is good. Some of the stuff that I do is I'll get some plugins on Google that allow you to get rid of things like news feeds or whatever type of information that you don't want to get caught up looking at stuff that you didn't choose to look at. So going back to what you're saying, if you want to use your computer in a more efficient way and not get, because you could have every intention of getting work done, and you have, let's say, for example, you have to go into Facebook to get information to get that whatever work you're doing. There's a good chance 2 or 3 things are going to pull your attention before you reel your stuff back and be like, I'm here for that, actually. Happens to me pretty often because part of my business is run through Facebook. But I've come to find out that if you use tools that can do things like get rid of your news feed or block the app for a certain time frame. So for example, if you know that you're normally supposed to be working or doing your thing from the next 4 hours and you keep looking, you can actually get some apps that lock apps that you normally find yourself fucking around in.
Yeah,
and just wasting time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really smart, especially if you're really compulsive and like don't like have that mindfulness, because like there's a lot of times where I'll just like have my stuff on my phone, especially if I'm like hanging out with someone and I'm meeting with somebody and I'm like find myself checking it and I'm just like, yo, that's hella rude, like put that shit down and you turn it off or whatever. But yeah, man, I'm trying to build, like we're trying to build our podcast. We've got, I got a chef, brand that I'm trying to build, Chef Brandon Rouge. I'm like on Instagram and Facebook all the time. I'm, working on plant-based food share. I've also got like just like fun stuff I'm doing. And so yeah, I'm finding myself on Instagram and all these things all the time. And I'm just like, yo, as soon as I can, I'm going to just like either get someone to manage it for me. And then like, as soon as my cookbook's out, like I'm gonna take a break. I might just turn my phone off for like a week, and like
it's a nice thing when you do. If you could pull it off, for sure. Yeah. If you could pull off a week.
Yeah, maybe
no phone or no social media.
Shit, I don't know. If I go on vacation, just turn my phone off for a week. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But maybe after my cookbook's been out for like a month or two, and I like don't have to do any like, hardcore promo. But yeah, man, I think it's important. I think it's important to unplug. It's tech takes over our lives, and it's easy to get caught up in the surfing and those feedback loops where you're checking your email, checking Facebook, you checking Instagram, you have to post a picture, you have to check how many likes you got, and then you're getting caught up in like anxiety loops, like, oh, what is, like I'm like pretty, thoughtful. And so anytime I post something, especially if it affects other people, I'm always like, oh shit, are they going to be offended by that? And I get in these weird anxiety loops and I'm just like, yo, like, chill out, like let it go.
It don't matter like that.
Yeah. Just like, don't stress. So
the anxiety one, obviously you're probably aware that our generation and and the newer generation under us, the anxiety levels are just through the roof.
Yeah, we're in.
My guess is social media plays a big part into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might not do the whole thing, but I think it's probably the biggest contributor.
Yeah, you always feel like, someone's watching you, or like you have to perform, and you have to like
perform. Somebody's got to pop in life, and your life's not that popping right now, and you feel naturally less.
Yeah, there's a new series out. I don't know if it's I can't remember. It might be on HBO, either or Netflix or something. But it's like Fake Famous, where people like buy followers, and then they like create all this like lifestyle that's literally just photographs. Like like they in the promo they show a woman in like a swimsuit and like a bikini or something. She's laying down in a kiddie pool with like rose petals behind her, and then the guy's like standing over her with the. I'm just like, yo, like if you get into that point, like chill out, yo. Like it's not important. Like nobody cares really.
Nobody cares on that level. Yeah,
nobody really cares what you're doing.
That's a crazy one that I've come to some conclusions sometimes. Is the whole like when you get caught up, like, should I post it? Should I not? Yeah. And then when you take a step back and you're having this conversation, you're like, no one really cares.
Nobody cares. Think about how many other people are you thinking about? Like, oh, when is he gonna post? It's like maybe if you have have a crush or something, or like
there's few people who have such a pop in social media where people are waiting to see what you're gonna post.
Yeah, and I'm like
a few people.
Yeah. There, I do follow a few, like
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you think about it in the grand scheme of like the world, people who are actually like waiting for somebody to make a next tweet or next post, those people are far few in between compared to the fucking population.
Yeah,
most people really just regurgitate other people's ideas that are without any lack of additional thought. And I guess perhaps that's what Facebook has a problem with. They don't want you just regurgitating nonsensical information. Without the fact checkers coming in to do their duty. I mean, I want to see who these fact checkers are. I want to see pictures. I want to know their backgrounds. I want to know what they're into, because that to me, it plays an effect. Like, I guess if you had if you had only AI, and the AI, in my opinion, I think sure that could be, I guess, equally as dangerous. You'd find other problems with that.
What if they had AI that like filtered out like useless posts and like prioritize like posts that are going to help people like improve their lives or like get smarter?
I agree.
Yeah,
the whole argument that a lot of people put up when it comes to AI and just giving AI the power is the fact that we're just speeding up the process towards our Matrix. Right. Walking into the Terminator. Where now we have a central intelligence of AI ruling the world, giving us the cue on what to do and what not to do and what to listen.
So, I mean, aren't we working on it, though? Isn't Elon Musk's, like, doesn't he have a company like Cyberlink or something? Or, Neuralink? Yeah. That's just crazy. Like,
that didn't get such a good response from people in general, because a lot of it just came across as just like slightly just weird how he was presenting it. Because he's already naturally kind of an awkward guy.
Yeah.
And so, but he was like describing it, and it was just like, yeah, this isn't weird coming from you. We get that. But just the idea to be plugged to the internet. Yeah. I just...
Telepathic communication.
Well, that's fine, if you can somehow achieve that through literally mind power situation where you're just activating that as a connection.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation where you're not linked, like, meaning you can unlink yourself mentally and walk away from the situation, and nobody can tap into you. Nobody can mess around with your memories or data.
Yeah. Hack into your consciousness.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And that's what you're allowed. I mean, if they have the technology to do that, what makes you think they don't have the technology to just tap into your shit whenever they want to, just to check it out? See what the data's looking like on this person or this area, or
that's some scary shit.
People don't understand how companies work, and they definitely don't understand how big companies work. It seems like I really don't see the people who are running to be the first ones to get this stuff implanted into them, because when you see the people who are running to be the first, it's like some weird people, yo. It's like that dude that looks like he's been living in his mom's basement, or that same way of the equivalent of a chick. Perhaps the leaders of the companies themselves will get it so they can showcase, I'm doing it, you should too, type of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting a chip into me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get stuff put into my head. Like, fuck out of here with that, dude. Like, you can't, I don't care. Sure, yeah, my brain working way faster and I can tap into the internet and I'd be so smart, it's not even funny. That sounds great.
Yeah.
But what are the implications on the other side or side effects?
Yeah. And, it's like, how much do you trust the, the system that you're plugging into? It's like, and how much has it been tested? It's like, if it's new, what if AI takes over in a few years and
just like the vaccine.
Has control of you?
Just like the vaccine. Mm-hmm. The vaccine stuff is from big tech. They are pumping that down your throat right now. Mm-hmm. Meaning, going back to YouTube real quick, and we'll wrap it up. But I have clicked not interested so many times on their suggestions, and it's always news related, big news. Mm-hmm. That at this point, I'm like, you don't care if I'm not interested.
Oh, yeah.
I've clicked on this 100% of the time, every time, and it still shows up. So here's what's happening. It's the typical stuff that big tech does is they put the button there just to showcase we're doing it, but the button doesn't do shit.
Right. Well, yeah, if someone's giving them millions of dollars to, pump out their message, they're probably going to just do it.
That's fine, but that's where they're starting to walk into hot waters with the legal situation. And now people are starting to come forward. Other politicians are starting to implement rules to pass.
Yeah.
And so I guess there's some progress being done in being able to tame the situation because they're already getting way stupid rich, way fast. Way too fast.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. I don't mind somebody kicking ass financially and going up in the financial chain. I have no personal problem with that. But it's when you start to do things that like other companies could never get away with and somehow you guys are, and it just keeps happening. So you almost gotta like think for a second, okay, are you getting paid off? What is the end that's going on the back end? Because it's starting to look a little fishy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're coming up here to the top of the hour. I figured.
Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts? You want to wrap it up?
Well, I hope this stays up for the people out there to listen. Yeah, man, that's basically it. I'm really curious to see if this is gonna get flagged on any way. And at this point, it really is about freedom of speech. And that can sound all corny and cheesy, but that is really one of the main things that the United States has on some level. It's starting to get chipped away every day now for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. As far as what free speech really actually means. We should have an episode on that.
Yeah, right.
And so that's what I think. Yeah, I think it's we need to keep the fight alive of like, no, let's actually have free speech.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we that's a really good topic for another episode. I think we talked about a few topics that'd be good for other episodes. And as far as my closing thoughts go, my thing with technology is I feel like people now are just like so empowered, more so than they've ever been. Like you have access to like knowledge and information on improving yourself, improving your health. Attaining wealth or learning new skills. And so if people really use the tools that they have at their disposal, it's like everybody can really just level up like never before. It's like 100%. You have the opportunity to just like improve yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and technology can help you do that. It's just
we'll do another episode on that
as you use it.
Another episode on that.
Yeah, we're in.
That would be a great one. Well, fantastic.
Yeah, good talk.
Yeah, man, love you. And for everybody out there, if you guys have any additional ideas on what you think would be an interesting topic, drop it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Take it easy, guys. Yep. All right, thanks for watching this clip from Appropriate Culture. If you want to watch the full episode, go ahead and check out us at appropriateculture.com. You can also check us out on social media platforms at Appropriate Culture. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.